चतुष्पदे। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सहस्रशीर्षा पुरुषः सहस्राक्षः सहस्रपात् स भूमिम् विश्वतो वृत्वा अत्यतिष्ठद्दशाङ्गुलम्। पुरुष एवेदगम् सर्वम् यद्भूतं यच्च भूयम् उतामृतत्वस्येषा नः यदन्नेनातिरोहति। एतावानस्य महिमा अतो ज्यायागिश्च पूरुषः। पादोऽस्य विश्वाभूतानि त्रिपादस्यामृतम् दिवि। त्रिपादूर्ध्व उदैत्पुरुषः पादोऽस्येहा भवात् पुनः। ततो विश्वम् व्यक्रामत् शासनानशने अभि। तस्मात् विराडजायत विराजो अधिपूरुषः। स जातो अत्यरिच्यत पश्चाद्भूमिमथो पुरः। यत्पुरुषेण हविषा देवा यज्ञमतन्वत। वसन्तो अस्यासीदाज्यम् ग्रीष्म इध्मः शरद्धविः। सप्तास्यासन् परिधयः त्रिः सप्त समिधः कृताः। देवाव्यज्ञम् तन्वानाः अपध्नन् पुरुषम् पशुम् तम् यज्ञम् बर्हिषि प्रोक्षन्। पुरुषम् जातमग्रतः तेन देवा अयजन्त। साध्या ऋषयश्च ये तस्माद्यज्ञात् सर्वहुतः। सम्भृतम् वृषदाज्यम् पशुगस्तागिश्चक्रे वायव्यान्। आरण्यान् ग्राम्याश्च ये तस्माद्यज्ञात् सर्वहुतः। ऋचः सामानि जज्ञिरे छन्दागुंसि जज्ञिरे तस्मात्। यजुस्तस्मादजायत तस्मादश्वा अजायन्त। ये केचोभजाततः गावोह जज्ञिरे तस्मात्। तस्माज्जाता अजावयः यत्पुरुषम् व्यदधुः कतिधा व्यकल्पयन्। मुखम् किमस्य कौ बाहू कावूरूपादावुच्येते। ब्राह्मणोऽस्य मुखमासीत् बाहूराजन्यः कृतः। ऊरू तदस्य यद्वैश्यः पद्भ्यागुम् शूद्रो अजायत। चन्द्रमा मनसो जातः चक्षोः सूर्यो अजायत। मुखादिन्द्रश्चाग्निश्च प्राणात् वायुरजायत। नाभ्या आसीदन्तरिक्षम् शीर्ष्णोद्यौः समवर्तत। पद्भ्याम् भूभिर्दिशः श्रोत्रात्। तथा लोकागम् अकल्पयन् वेदाहमेतम् पुरुषम् महान्तम्। आदित्यवर्णम् तमसस्तु पारे सर्वाणि रूपाणि विचित्य धीरः। नामानि कृत्वाभिवदन् यदास्ते धाता पुरस्ताद्यमुदा जहार। चक्रः प्रविद्वान् प्रदिशश्च तस्रः। तमेवम् विद्वानमृत इह भवति। नान्यः पन्था अजनाय विद्यते। यज्ञेन यज्ञमयजन्त देवाः तानि धर्माणि प्रथमान्यासन्। ते हनाकम् महिमानः सचन्ते। यत्र पूर्वे साध्याः सन्ति देवाः अभ्यः सम्भूतः द्रष्टाविदधद्रूपमेति तत्पुरुषस्य विश्वमाचानमग्रे वेदाहमेतं पुरुषं महान्तम् आदित्यवर्णं तमसः परस्तात् तमेवं विद्वानमृत इह भवति नान्यः पन्था विद्यते जनाय प्रजापतिश्चरति गर्भे अन्तः अजायमानो बहुधा विजायते तस्य धीराः परिजानन्ति योनिम् मरीचीनां पदमिच्छन्ति वेधसः यो देवेभ्य आतपति यो देवानां पुरोहितः पूर्वो यो देवेभ्यो जातः नमो रुचाय ब्राह्मणे रुचं ब्राह्मं जनयन्तः देवा अग्रे तदब्रुवन् यस्त्वैवं ब्राह्मणो विद्यात् तस्य देवा असन्वशे ह्रीश्च ते लक्ष्मीश्च पत्न्यौ अहोरात्रे पार्श्वे नक्षत्राणि रूपम् अश्विनं व्यात्तम् इष्टं मनिषाण अमुं मनिषाण सर्वं मनिषाण ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः.
Do you need to process a large number of it?
Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvisha vahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we have now concluded the 9th verse. As you know, tam yagyan barhishi praukshan purushan jatamagrataha tena deva ayajanta sadhya rishayaschaye. So after this, there's only 2 major mantras that have been commented on by Swami Maheshananji. And so we will begin those at the end of the class today. So that will be number 10, which will be Yat Purusham Vyadaduhu Gatidha Vyakalpayan Mukham Kimasya Kaubahu Kavuru Pada Vuchyete. And then the number 11, which is the answer to number 10, which starts with Brahmanoho Asya Mukhamasi Bahu Rajanyakritaha. So that's the main one, number 11, which is called the social person. And so the Yajna Purushaha, and then this will be the social Purusha, Purusha, which will take us quite a while. There's I was reading it, I was going through that today. There's 300 pages that Swamiji has devoted to this number 11, 10 and 11 both. And so obviously we will not spend that much time, but we will consolidate to extract the main conceptual ideas contained in the number 10 and 11. And then after that, the last mantra that Swamiji has commented on before the book finishes is Chandrama Manaso Jataha Chaksho Suryo Ajayata Mukhadindrascha Agnischa. So that will be the end of this course. But we still have quite a few more classes to go to finish this off. So having finished the ninth mantra, which is an important mantra, perhaps even the central part of the whole thing, which is what do I need to do in order to gain complete freedom from all problems in this life itself, not even relative freedom. We know how to get relative freedom by adjustments in my life, adjustments in my body, my mind, my friends, and so on. We can learn how to be reasonably happy, but not really absolutely happy. And so this verse that we have just gone through is a guidebook for us to know, is it possible, first of all, to be absolutely happy, and if so, which of course the answer is yes, how to do it. So that was what it was all about. So I thought that what we will do, having finished this very long dissertation by Swami Maheshanandji on the Yajna Purusha and then the Sadhya Purusha and then Rishi Purusha, these three ones, we will do a meditation on it. And as I mentioned in my email, our approach, our attitude towards learning should be not, as Swami Tattvavedanandaji says so articulately, not to gather information. That would be something like, if a very valuable diamond is given to a child by some elderly lady who has given this, and the child puts it in the mouth and sucks on it. This is not the right use of this diamond. The baby can, of course, should not suck on it anyway because it may swallow it. But really the taste of the diamond is really not what it is, the value of the diamond and it has to be when the child grows up a little bit. So something like this. So if we look at it as an academic exercise, that I also have gone through Purusha Suktam, I know what are the main elements of it and so on. That is just a start. I think the main thing that we should think about is, what does it really mean for me in my life, in my quest of life, in my quest of happiness? That is really what we need to understand. So the meditation that we do is the Vedantic meditation, which is called Nididhyasanam, which many of you already know, consists of starting to get the essence, and essence in the sense of getting the fruits of this knowledge. And it's a start, because much more than the Nididhyasanam needs to be done. But it should start with that. I should really be able to see the truth of what has been told by the Shastra. So as such, our meditation, the Nididhyasanam, is preceded by a lot of learning. Number one. Number two, the meditation itself is with an active use of my mind. So here we may have a small difference with the yogic meditation, where the yogic meditation is that slowly you diminish the presence of the mind through the Ashtanga Yoga. So you go up to the last two or three, and you go from sadhana to savikalpa samadhi and all the way up to nirvikalpa samadhi, and the mind's job is to really disappear. This is the yogic meditation, not so in the Vedantic meditation. So, even though the mind is not the one which is directly going to reveal the Atma to you, but it is going to be active in following the precepts of Vedanta right up to the very end. So the mind is an important thing, and not an independent mind, but if a mind which follows the precepts. So in that case, nididhyasanam has to follow shravanam and hopefully mananam, at least shravanam. And so I think we have done quite a bit of shravanam. When yagyan, barhishi, praukshan, etc., we have been doing all of that. So now what we can do is to consolidate that in some terms that will be beneficial to me in the form of nididhyasanam. So let us try to do that today. Now, before we begin, we should know that prior to doing nididhyasanam, there is a preparation for nididhyasanam. And this preparation could be just called simple dhyanam. Simple dhyanam. So similarly, before the beginning of any important class, we do some dhyana shlokas. First we do the Shanti mantras, then we do dhyana shlokas. And so this dhyanam precedes nididhyasanam. So let us do our meditation today, which will be for quite a longer time. It could be maybe at least 45 minutes or so, maybe even more. So this meditation will consist of two parts. Since some of you have not been with us in doing the preparation for nididhyasanam, I will spend some time on the elements of the preparation. Many of you have already done so, and I'm sure it will be a refresher for you. So the first few minutes we will do, perhaps 10 minutes or so, we will do dhyanam. So the dhyanam is not really the activation of the mind. It is not. It is simply tuning up of the mind, and the mind is not participating in giving you an idea of what you have learned. That will come in the nididhyasanam, as we will see. So anyway, I'm just giving you some theoretical background for it. So with that, let us do this. Let us do a two-part meditation. First dhyanam, and the second part, which is the main part, which is called nididhyasanam. Okay. So with that, let me turn off some of the lights that are shining into my eyes. So I'm also a little bit in the more darker aspect of this. So let me do this. In fact, I'll turn off the main light. You don't need to see me, you can just hear me. So let me do that. I'll be right back. Om Namaste Astu Bhagavan Vishveshwaraya Mahadevaya Triambakaya Tripurantakaya Trikalagnikalaya Kalagnirudraya Neelakanthaya Mrityunjayaya Sarveshwaraya Sadashivaya Shriman Mahadevaya Namaha. So, as far as possible, please sit either on a chair or cross-legged on a floor, doesn't matter, in a relatively quiet place, no radio or television, quiet environment. And with this, our recommendation will be that you try to get into the habit of doing regular meditation. You may already be doing it. And in this case, choose a time which is quiet, where there is not phone ringing or cell phone or anything. You have it at your own time, preferably early in the morning, because that's where the mind is the freshest. Close the doors around you so that you are alone, if possible. Sit down in a comfortable position, and the position, sitting position, is a compromise between slumping, which is amenable to going to sleep, and being uncomfortably straight. This is called asanam. So the asana has to be comfortable, and the goal of the asana is that once you assume the position, the posture, you should not have to move it during the meditation. That should be your goal. The body should disappear from your awareness. And so in that sense, you need to make sure that you're wearing comfortable clothes. If you have a belt, then loosen the belt, because sometimes we are not aware of the pressure of our tight clothes. So relax the pressure on your body. Then we suggest that you do a simple sankalpa. A sankalpa is done by you as the leader of your entire body-mind complex. This is what you need to tell your mind primarily, but even your body. And the sankalpa can go something like this. Hey mind, hey body, I want to get into the truth of who I am. I am not interested in any thoughts pertaining to relationships or outside things. Just for half hour, I want you to cooperate. This is what my intent is, and I just want to let you know this is what I'm going to do. Thank you. So this sankalpa is an important self-suggestion to your own mind, and declares to it that this is your main objective. If the thoughts come that you have to make a telephone call today at 9 o'clock, you can say some other time, not now. So this is the sankalpa. So there's about 8 or 10 different steps for the preparation. We will not have the time to go through all of them, but I'll give you maybe 3 or 4 main steps initially to prepare your mind for the nididhyasana. We've already taken the first 2 steps, which is asanam and sankalpa. The next step is to be absorbed in appreciating the one sense organ, the sense of touch, that is prevalent throughout your body. Please be aware of the sense of touch. Start at the very bottom. Be aware of your feet touching the ground. Be aware of your legs touching the chair, the thighs resting on the chair. Be aware of your 2 hands clasping each other. The touch of your arms in your lap. Then turn your awareness to your 2 sets of eyelashes that are already touching each other. In fact, gently, slowly disengage the 2 sets of eyelashes and let some light come in a sliver. Then close your eyes gently and feel the two sets of eyelashes touching each other. You can do this a couple of times. You can feel that your mind is engaged and is not randomly going around. Next, mentally go over the state of your body and let it relax segment by segment. Starting from the top, let your eyes relax. Let your back of your neck relax. Let your hands and arms relax. The stomach area harbors a lot of tension at times. You may need to spend more time helping the stomach muscles relax. You can use some techniques to do so. One technique is that with each outgoing breath, you consciously relax the stomach muscles. Another technique is to actually squeeze the stomach muscles and then relax. Similarly, go down the lower part of your body. And see if there are any lingering areas for tension. Relax them. Next, as the last step of the dhyana, We will do the other steps later some other time. Be aware of your breathing. You will notice that as you turn your attention to breathing, it gets disturbed. Wait for it to become natural again. Even though the breathing is natural, you can enhance it by paying attention to it. Take deeper breaths, longer and deeper. So with that, our concise preparation for Nididhyasanam is now complete. We now start Nididhyasana. We follow the teaching of Purusha Suktam. I learnt that anything that gets separated from its origin is anxious to go back to the origin. This is true of not only conscious people, but even inert things. All forms of water originate from the ocean. All forms of water are not comfortable being separate from the ocean. Whether it is rivers or steam or clouds, everything originates from Mother Ocean. and there is a constant attempt to go back. Purusha Suktam says, everything in the whole universe originates from the Purusha, Parameshwara, Brahman, the consciousness. And the conscious being, like a cloud in the sky, that seems to be separated from the universe of consciousness, Purusha, Parameshwara. So the jiva, the human being, like a cloud, feels separate from the source that it came from. And the constant yearning, whether one knows it or not, is to be reunited with Ishvara. That is where I came from, and that is where I am headed. The Purusha Suktam is a recipe for a accelerated, purposeful journey back to Ishvara. Without the instructions contained in the spiritual texts, I am lost. I wander around from life to life, and delay my return to where I really want to go. Purusha Suktam is a recipe for a purposeful, accelerated journey back to my own source. Only then will I be happy. The Yajna Purusha says, the section on the Yajna Purusha says, that this separation from Ishvara is not physical. In the case of a cloud, there is a physical separation from the ocean. In the case of the jiva, the separation never really took place. It is just an error on the part of the jiva to feel separated from Ishvara. It is more like a wave of the ocean who is confused about its identity. It feels a sense of limitation. It was never separated from the ocean, never will be. The same thing is true for us. So the recipe for the return is not to go anywhere, not to go to a different life, but to stay where I am and understand that my sense of limitation is false. This is exactly like a person dreaming and in the dream assuming an identity which is different from the identity of the waker, and feels isolated but is fake. There is no physical return to being a waker. Just a process of waking up. There is no change. And yet the results are totally different. This is the process of Yajna Purusha, Sadhya Purusha, and Rishi Purusha. I after knocking around in my life, trying to preserve my identity as a jiva, but surrounding myself with different things is wrong. I need to learn to sacrifice my identity as a karta and a bhokta. In other words, questioning the very reality of myself as a jiva. I learned from Purusha Suktam that my sense of identity as a jiva is in fact a reflection of my own self. I need to understand this very well. Through the instructions of Vedanta and thinking about it, meditating on it, I can see that I, the Sakshi, remains the same while the jivatvam, the sense of being a jiva, changes from time to time, from minute to minute. That cannot be my reality. I have falsely concluded that this is me. By questioning it and by sacrificing by being ready to sacrifice is the first step of the Deva. By following this advice throughout my life is the Sadhya Purusha. As a Sadhya Purusha, Purusha Suktam says, your joy and happiness is assured to you. You stay within the envelope. You don't have to extend yourself and try to be any different than what you are. This is the samarthyam. That capability is already given to you by Ishvara. Appreciate it. Praptasya praptihi. Then, as you go forward in solidifying this sacrifice, seek the relative truth in order to achieve the absolute truth. Be a rishi. A rishi is a simple person, totally dedicated to transactional truth. Be what you are. Do not pretend to be anything more than what you are. You don't need to. Relax. You have everything that you need if you remain as a truthful person. You speak as you think, and you act as you speak. This is the truthfulness. This is the rhythm, the satyam. And if you follow this, and keep the attention to the Ishvara's presence in yourself, you will reach the goal of total freedom while alive. I seek the blessings of Ishvara by not denying His presence in my life. I am no other than just a reflection of Ishvara. May I see this fact in order to return back to where I came from. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So that concludes our ninth verse. The whole concept of the Yajna Purusha. And so one thing that Swami Maheshwaranji has pointed out, that Yajna, the word Yajna, really means sacrifice. So you give up something to get something back. That's exactly the whole concept of a sacrifice. So in yajna, in the secondary yajna, not the primary yajna, you do sacrifice some things, and then you hopefully that the devata that you are sacrificing to, will give you something back in return. And so very same thing is true for the primary sacrifice, which is what we did, that if you are able to sacrifice a sense of limitation, then a sense of non-limitation, which is you, will become you. This is the thing. We now move on to another form of sacrifice. So we have 2 or 3 different ways of looking at this. This is what is called Samaja Purusha. Samaja Purusha, which is different from Yajna Purusha. So the Samaja Purusha means the social me. And in fact, this is something that we have to understand, that really the entire life has been carefully designed by Ishvara for my growth. It is anxious that Ishvara wants me to grow and get reunited, so to speak, reunited with Ishvara. Never really separated to begin with, but the sense of separation should also go. So in that sense, the creation of Samaja, so Samaja means a society, is also a creation of Ishvara. So this is what we are going to study next, is what is the purpose of the society and how can I utilize the society for my growth. Certainly the growth of the society also, but more than that, my own growth. This is the purpose of the next one that we are going to start today, and we will continue on. And so some initial thoughts about it, and then we will continue on it. So here Swamiji has pointed out that society, or the Sanskrit word samaja, does not mean a crowded place. It doesn't mean a collection of people. You know, like for example, supposing you go to an event like a soccer match, a football match, hockey match, or something like this, or even some kind of a musical event. And so you have a lot of people there, 50,000 people sometimes in a stadium and so on. That is not samaja. So the society means a collection of people with a consistent set of goals. And there can be a different society. It doesn't mean that everybody has to be the same. And there cannot be. This is the whole creation. There are segments of the society where they have a different goal than you do. But the definition of society is where a group of people jointly decide this is what we want to do. This is what is called samaja. So as part of that samaja, I am a samaja purusha. And what are my responsibilities? How do I look at it? What's my attitude towards it? So that both my goals as well as the social goals are fulfilled. This is the purpose of this next segment. So, in the old Vedic days in India, India as a whole was a samaja. There was in fact a purpose and what is called uddeshya. And that uddeshya was to really engender total freedom for everyone in the society. This was the uddeshya. Now here one thing to to make a note of, it's an important note to make, is that in the Vedika system, the samaja and the order of the samaja, the qualities of samaja and so on, were not created by human beings. This has to be understood. So, what it means is that any creation by a set of human beings is likely to be less than ideal. Because the human being itself is less than an ideal. It has limitations. All kinds of possibilities of limitations are there in a human being. So the creation of a human being who himself or herself is limited is not likely to be unlimited. So unlike that, the Vedic Samaja is not created by a human being. It is created by the Creator Himself. This is the Vedic Samaja. So in all other cases, you will find that the one who started a religious person, their father and mother were not part of the religion, right? Isn't that right? So this is very clear. So supposing you have, without naming names, supposing you have somebody who starts a religion. So the religion started with that person. Now, what it means is that before that person, that religion was not there. So their mother and father were completely different from the son or the daughter who created the religion. So there is a start of the religion, and it was done by a human being who has limitations. Unlike that, the Sanatana Dharma was not started by any human beings. So, for example, Rama did not start Hinduism. He was already part of the Vedic culture. Krishna, all the other, Vyasa, you take any one of them, they are not the starters of the religion, not starters of the spiritual thought. So the spiritual thought, which includes Samaja, is the creation of Ishvara in the case of Vedic religion. And so we need to understand what it is, and to understand how it can be distorted. It has been. We have some of our own problems in India, but many of the problems were introduced by people that came from outside. And it is not just the Mughals who destroyed some of the Samaja, not just the Christians who came in Samaja. In the modern times, one of the biggest invasions of the Samaja are the communist system, which was inherited from Russia. And it is playing havoc because there is no concept of a Samaja. If they have a concept, but it's totally different. Their concept of communism is, I'm very poor and I'm dispossessed, and I want everybody else to be just as poor and dispossessed. I cannot stand anyone to be doing any better than I am. It is the lowest common denominator. This is not the Vedic system. This is the one which is, we have to, it's like a cancer on the society that has to go. And so if you look at, so now we have the Vedic system which has been totally corrupted by the so-called secularism, where the Samaja is completely different, and by communists and socialists. This is not the Vedic Samaja. But once all these things are resolved, I am very sure that we will go back to the original design of what a Samaja is, and that design is what we are going to study with the 10th verse. And so the 10th verse starts with a question. The Vedas, Ishvara himself asks a question. Yat Purusham Vyadaduhu Katidha Vyakalpayan. Yat Purusham Vyadaduhu Katidha Vyakalpayan Mukhan Kimasya Kaubahu Kavurupadavuchete. This is the question. And so Ishvara asks a question that what is the form of this Samaja? Who is the leader? Who are the supporting castes? What are they going to do? What are everybody supposed to do? Then in the 11th verse, so the question is very short, we won't spend much time on it. The answer is very long and requires a lot of understanding, which will start with Brahmano osya mukhamasi bahu rajanya kritaha, etc. So that we will also take up. But the first part of that is the question, which is the 10th verse, a very short section, and will probably, hopefully, not take more than one class to do so. And so we will do that next time, which is the beginning of the so-called sacrifice of the human being for the sake of Samaja. Not for the sake of Samaja, but in the form of Samaja. So, as I mentioned to you, I think in the last class, I really like this characterization by Swami Paramarthananda, who said that this is the scaffolding that I need to build a house for myself. And so the Varna and Ashrama system is a scaffolding, a two-dimension scaffolding, which is required for us to put bricks and mortar into the main house so that I become very solid. And so the Samaja and the Ashrama system, the Samaja is the Varna system, and then the Ashrama system, the 4 ashramas of the world, of the life, are the scaffolding, the infrastructure that I need so that my sacrifice is meaningful and beneficial to both me and to others. So that's the Samaja Purusha that we will take from next class on. Okay, so with that I wind up today's class. Om Asato Ma Satkamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Okay. Maniji asks, is atheism also a disturbance to Samaja? It is, but such an obvious one that it is not really a threat. It's a disturbance, I think it is okay. I think it's the more subtle forms of alternate samajas that are a threat, as it has been to the Vedic samaja. But atheism is childish. It really is childish. So, like a child is not a threat. It's a disturbance. A child can make some noise, and so you have to deal with the child in that sense. But a threat is someone who invades your home. It's not a disturbance, it's a threat. And so in that sense, no, atheism is not really a threat, it's more of a disturbance. So you did it correct. Your characterization is correct. It is really, it's a nuisance. It's a nuisance, not a real problem. Yeah. A non-thinking nuisance. All right. Don't see any other questions. So I appreciate your participating. And just to remind everyone, so we will not have a class next Tuesday, which is the 29th, because of the holidays. We will have a combined class on the 2nd of January from 9 to 10:30 on a topic that I haven't selected yet, but we will talk about a common one which is good for all the 3 classes. And then we will resume the Purusha Suktam on a regular Tuesday on the 5th of January, I believe. So I'll send you an email with respect to that, but just to be sure, there is no class next week. So with that, I wish you all happy holidays and happy and healthy, stay safe, and we will see you soon. Om.